Hello, my name is Kimberly Nagel. This is my comprehensive analysis over Etsy for MBA 614 Business Analysis, Concordia University, Nebraska, with Professor Armstrong. This is my table of contents of what we'll be going over throughout this presentation. So a little background about Etsy. They started in 2005, so about almost 20 years ago. The original vision was to create a business that would function as an online platform for craftsmen to sell their goods and gain exposure. Over the years, they added different features. So they added, unique features for people to sell their items. And then 2 years after they launched, they actually hit $1 million in sales, raising over $3 million in venture funding. And so I did put the net worth of them. So since it's been 20 years, I did every 10 years. So in 2015, their net worth was $1.5 million, and in 2024 their net worth is $6.6 billion now, so pretty big jump. So their financial performance, sellers have generated $13.2 billion in gross merchandise sales, and so often people wonder, how much does the seller keep? Well, Etsy charges a couple fees, and they have a listing fee of 20%, and then they do a transaction fee of 6.5%, and then they have also payment processing fees for 3%, and then they have regular operation fees, like if you want to send something to a different country, depending on how that goes, and how much that's going to charge you. And they have a revenue of $2.7 billion with a net income of $1.6 billion currently. So here is another financial analysis of over the past 3 years, 2023, 22, and 21. They've obviously gotten significantly grown each year. Things to note is their revenue, but also things to also note is their net income. Obviously in 2022 they did have a negative net income, and then they bounced back from it. This also has to do also with the side effects of COVID, and sellers that way, and trying to get material from them, so that contributed to it. And then other things to note, their operation income and expenses has always been in the negatives. So this is something, overall it's healthy financial income statement, but they do have their ups and downs. So this is a strategic analysis, also known as a SWOT analysis. So strengths of Etsy: they're specialized in vintage and craft items. They have a strong community base. They have a global reach and a diverse revenue stream. So, you get a lot of people, that want to create their wedding, items, baby shower items. They usually often go to Etsy. A lot of people are committed to Etsy, like loyal customers. They like to support local independent craftsmen and people who make various types of art. They like to go to Etsy instead of another retailer online. The global reach, you can connect with virtually anyone that sells anything anywhere. I live in Nebraska, but I can buy something from Ohio. A weakness: a lot of competitors, competitive e-commerce industry. For example, their top competitor is Amazon. Amazon is the leading in e-commerce industry. They have limited control over their inventory. So obviously they can't control who is um, like how much inventory that their sellers have or what they can make, you know, in a timely manner. So they don't have really any control in that. And then their customer service, they have issues in that department. So if I buy something from someone, going through Etsy is kind of hard because I'm trying to reach the seller. Maybe an item broke, maybe I want to return something. It's just kind of more of a complicated um, way of going about it instead of directly to the seller. Operation, broad range of categories. So when you go on their website, you can, choose holiday gifts, wedding stuff, baby shower stuff, his or hers gifts. So a lot of stuff there. Partnerships, and the opportunities. I think that they can broaden their reach. They're very specialized in certain areas, so I think that they can um, get into different categories. Also, their partnerships with influencers or designers. I think, within this day and age, like TikTok is becoming a very big thing, so I think they can um, utilize influencers on there to target specific audiences. The majority of Etsy's um, audience target market is 18 through 28-ish, is a majority of the users on there. So, it's the kind of the same target demographic as like TikTok or Instagram. Pop-up shops are also good. A lot of people love supporting locals, so farmers markets are a big thing, supporting locals. So I think doing something there and partnering with current sellers. A threat is high substitution rate, so it's easy for me to go online and buy something on Etsy, but maybe I don't want to purchase through there. Maybe it's a little bit too much. I can go to Amazon, with a click of a button. Um, Easy substitution for me, because it's all online. Cybercrime threats are huge. Cybercrime is one of the leading crimes right now in America, especially for a platform like Etsy. Cyber security is number one priority. There's a lot of scams, fraudulent activity, and so being aware of that. Additionally, regulations, changes online retail is something that threatens the company. So this is a competitive profit profile mix I made. Is a strategic management tool used to compare a firm and its rivals based on their critical success factors. So if you look, advertising, global reach, customer service, product variation, brand representation, um, different categories that, who they compete against. I picked in this instance, their two top rivals right now are Amazon and eBay. eBay is kind of more of a third, little lower rivalry than Amazon because eBay's kind of doesn't, a lot of people don't really use this anymore. But so there's the weight determines like the more importance of it. So the more the weight, the more important position it has, and a higher score, a stronger competitive position within the company, a lower score, a weaker competitive position. So for advertising, I put Etsy at 4. You see a majority of their advertisements online, or, um, on TV ads. Amazon doesn't really advertise much. They mainly advertise like their products that they have, like the Amazon Echo or, um, their 2-day shipping, services that they provide. They don't really promote like, sellers that go on Amazon and sell their stuff. They don't promote that. eBay, one, they don't do any advertisement really. It's just kind of who still knows about eBay. Global reach is high for both Etsy and Amazon. Customer service, though, is low for Etsy as it is kind of a harder thing to go through when you have an issue. You kind of have to go through the company to get to this to the seller. So it's kind of this whole thing. Amazon is pretty more straightforward. It's click of a button. Sometimes you don't even need to talk to anyone. Just kind of hit return item, and you can go to the store and return the item real easily. But customization is obviously a four on Etsy, where you can get things customizable, put your name on stuff, because you're connected right to the seller. And then Amazon, it's a one, because you kind of just get what you get on Amazon. There's no changing anything or customization of anything. So I'm not going to go through all this, but as you can see, Etsy scored a little higher than Amazon on certain things like product quality. A lot of things that you go to Etsy for, the quality is very good. That's why we pay a little bit more um, than like going to Amazon, because you want the quality to be higher, because obviously these are going to local businesses and they want to do well. And if you really like their quality, you'll refer to a friend, and which helps support their small business as well. So accounting analysis. So I did their gross profit, profit margins, market capitalization, their enterprise value, and their revenue, as you can see there. And so like for the profit margin, I did 2.7 million minus their 2.7 million as the revenue minus their cost, which is 800 million, and then divided by their revenue again, which is profit margin, so of 9%. And then the next one. So financial analysis. So Etsy, its current ratio is significantly outweighs its current liabilities, $1 billion in assets versus $2.3 million in liabilities. And a negative ROE indicates the company is losing money when the net income is negative and it is not generating a profit for its shareholders from their investments. A negative profit implies shareholders are losing on their investments and the company. So, but on the bright side, they do have a negative ROE, return on equity, but their current ratio is 2 and 2, so it means like how fast do they pay off something. So that's actually a pretty good ratio to have, as Etsy meets short-term obligations effectively, so they pay off their short-term debt pretty well and pretty fast. Also, their quick ratios, they pay off pretty significantly fast as well. And then also for a medium-sized company, their profitability ratio is 9%, which is the normal for a medium-sized company is from like 5% to 20. So they're kind of like in the middle. So this is actually not a bad percentage to have for a smaller company. So this is a competitive analysis kind of versus the industry. So as you can see, they do pretty well when it comes to their ratios. Some of their profitability margins could improve, but they do have good gross margins as compared to the industry. They have good operating margins compared to the industry. Operation net profit margins. So overall, that's good. And then their strengths, like I said, they're quick ratios, so they pay off short-term debt pretty well. And then their current ratio, compared to like industry, is pretty good as well. Obviously, their long-term debt and equity is at negatives, but that's kind of normal for a company their size. So this is a perspective analysis. So they use Perspective analysis means likely to come about, expected to happen. So like a forecasting model. Um, and so they do core infrastructure, includes the cost of infrastructure and service, especially it's essential for operating the Etsy website. Merchandise, um, learning and product enabling. Um, enterprises cost related to service supporting merchant learning, um, like their advertisements and everything like that, and their operation cost. And then their data enabling, obviously, they're a fully online platform, so that as well. So these are their different forecasting methodologies that they use to predict future financial revenues. So analysis, opinion. So there's strengths and weaknesses to the company. Strengths, strong liquidity and cash revenue. And then their weakness is high debt to equity ratio. Um, and obviously they have their return on equity is negative 56%. So it's kind of high, but Etsy manages its debt effectively through convertible notes. Um, so that was that. I'll have to go back. Um, and then decision making on projected valuation. So they go through these 4 steps: one, cost benefit analysis; two, strategic alignment; three, risk management; and four, stakeholder consideration. So they go through these 4 decision making processes to project valuation. Um, how much is it going to cost the project? Strategic alignment, make sure it's aligned with the company and, good for the company's business model. How much risk is involved is super important. And then there's stakeholder consideration. So obviously every company should consider how is this going to affect their stakeholders and their investors. Cost Project cost reflects the expenses within the categories during the project life cycle. So, meaning the project costs, how much you spend on a project reflects on the balance sheet for like accounts receivable and all that. And then these were my references, and I mainly used micro trends for the revenue and Etsy's for their income statements. Thank you.